And just remember how we got to this place. The president announced a ceasefire had been brokered between Israel and Iran. Then as soon as the announcement was made, as the president said, Israel increased its attacks on Tehran. A lot of attacks overnight, Tehran firing back at Israel, some killed in Israel. And then after the deadline expired, another exchange there.
Well, the Israelis very much feel like Iran has violated the ceasefire agreements. They say that about 3 hours after the ceasefire went into effect, we heard, of course, the sirens that were sounding in northern Israel. And an Israeli military official tells us that there were 2 missiles that were fired there. Both, they say, were intercepted. But that is where the Israelis are accusing Iran of having violated this agreement and also now vowing to strike back at Iran in response for that ceasefire violation. And that in particular seems to have been what got President Trump so upset this morning with those comments where, yes, he was talking about both Israel and Iran violating this ceasefire agreement in his view. But there's no question that the brunt of his anger there was indeed being directed at the Israeli government, and it very much sounded like he planned to get on the phone to the Israeli prime minister to try and stop Israel from striking back at Iran. We haven't gotten reports yet that those strikes have taken place, but we have heard from the Israeli defense minister as well as the chief of staff of the Israeli military, who both vowed that there would be firm strikes in Iran in response for those missiles that the Israeli officials say were fired at northern Israel. But then there's also this issue of what happened in the hours before the ceasefire. Yes, Israel was striking in Tehran very hard in the hours after President Trump announced the ceasefire, before it actually went into effect. But we also saw a very heavy barrage of more than 20 missiles, ballistic missiles, being fired by the Iranians, setting off sirens for about 2 hours straight, one after the other in all parts of Israel. And of course, the deadliest impact happening in the southern city of Beersheba, very close to our location right now. At least 4 people were killed in that strike. More than 20 others were injured. Of course, the tragedy of it all, the fact that this happened less than an hour before that ceasefire actually went into effect. The final victims of this conflict, at least here in Israel, were claimed.